Quote, in the states where bar integration has been adopted, its major energies are directed to projects designed to improve the administration of justice, projects that awaken an interest in the science of jurisprudence, that stimulate professional interest, and that give the bar a just concept of its relation to the public, end quote. This was written by Justice Terrell in June of 1949, in the matter entitled Petition of the Florida State Bar Association. Ironically, it's probably the only appellate case I've read this year. Sorry, Bob. The language that I just quoted was used to create our uniform bar in 1949, and it was as significant then as it is today. Chief Justice Labarga, justices of the Supreme Court, other members of our judiciary, soon-to-be President Abedin Big Papi, soon-to-be President-elect Little Papi, friends, family, and colleagues. About a year ago, my good friend and now past President Eugene Pettis told me that I would blink my eyes and the year would be over. So, those of you in the back there might just blink my eyes. I can't believe how fast this year has flown. It has been challenging, it has been fun, it's been entertaining, and it's been eye-opening. Some time ago, I latched on to the fact that lawyers are slow to adapt to technology. For this reason, my first goal was to create a toolbox of technological resources for our members so that they could use them in enhancing their practice. I was targeting the 77% of our members that practice in law firms of 10 lawyers or less to try and help them improve their practice management. Why did we do this? Some of this you just simply cannot make up. So we had a program for over 30 years called LOMAS. It was our Law Office Management Assistance Program. It was a very good program for a number of years. But about 2 years ago, somebody pointed out something to me on our LOMAS page where there was a question and an answer pertaining to technology. Here was the question. Where can I go to get help with a hardware or software problem? Here was our answer. You can go to your local church, synagogue, civic organization, or library to help get you assistance with your hardware and software problem. I must have read this 4 times. I said there's no possible way we are telling our members to go to a church, synagogue, or the library to fix their computer. But we were. So what did we do? We immediately expedited the creation of the Practice Resource Institute, which I think is one of the best member benefits the bar has ever been provided. I cannot take credit for it. Kevin and his team put it together, and they did this in 6 months. It was just unbelievable. It provides every imaginable resource a lawyer needs, including free continuing legal education in the areas of technology, provides guidance in accounting and finance, management, marketing, how to open a new practice, how to close a practice, how to avoid getting bar complaints. All of the things our lawyers need to know are now in one place on our website. And is Adriana Linares here? Adriana? No, she's not here. She is our technology consultant. She's an outside consultant, but she also has been invaluable in assisting us with this very, very important endeavor. So we're very, very proud of the fact that we were able to get that member benefit to our members. The issue of access to civil justice has been a very hot topic recently, not just in our state, but across the nation. And remember, access to justice isn't just for the indigent or the poorest of our poor. 60% plus of the citizens in the state of Florida are the working middle class. They're the folks that work at Publix, they fix your air conditioner, they fix your car when it breaks down. They live basically paycheck to paycheck, and they can't hire a lawyer if they have to get divorced at $25 an hour. Okay. See, this is what I have to deal with. So, the problem is much bigger than focusing on indigent citizens in our state who are experiencing their own set of problems. We've realized that our legal aid providers are drastically underfunded. This is because of historically low interest rates that fund the IOTA accounts that fund the Florida Bar Foundation, that fund a lot of our local programs. And lawyers, of course, are doing their part. And I said this last year, the numbers are up. 2 million hours of time donated by Florida lawyers. That equates to about $500 million worth of our time that we've donated. It's not enough. The good news is the crisis actually brought the issue to the point, and to his credit, Chief Justice Labarga realized that we needed to create a commission to work on solutions. Now, much like my good friend Ray, I'm not a great fan of committees, commissions, and things of that nature, but this is a different group. It represents a cross-section of the state, including representatives from the legislature, the executive branch, the judiciary, the Bar Foundation, local pro bono providers, but most importantly, and most significantly, and what makes our commission different than any other commission in the country, is we have engaged the business community in this conversation, and some of the major business leaders of the state of Florida are at the table with us. I would like to specifically thank Chief Justice Labarga and all the members of the Supreme Court for their vote of confidence in creating this commission. We're learning more and more from these business leaders about how we can raise awareness to this problem. It's a societal problem. And as again my predecessor Eugene Pettis said, you can't look to the grocery stores to solve world hunger. You simply cannot look to the legal system as a whole to solve the problem of access. But we are on the right track. We have begun our work. We have created the first and only existing knowledge base of access products in the country that has gathered access products from every corner of the United States, from state bars, local bars, the ABA, local service providers, other bar foundations, and we're using this sort of as an a la carte menu to try and pick and choose things that we can implement incrementally to improve access to civil justice. So even though this is a short-term initial commission, the 2-year commission, it will turn into a permanent commission, the chief tells me. And I look forward to great work coming out of that commission. And I think over the years, as Ray reports and Bill reports, you're going to see real progress in this area. And I think Florida will once again lead the country in solving this problem, which is so critical to our profession and to our country. Lastly, I want to talk for a moment about all of the chaos in our branch of government. Gwen Young, then president of the Florida Bar, God bless you, saw a lot of changes going on in our profession. And she was somewhat of a visionary. She was the president before Gene. She saw a lot of things out there like LegalZoom, Rocket Lawyer, Avo. She saw something called the Uniform Bar Exam that none of us had heard of, that had been adopted at that time by a handful of states. She saw people talking about antiquated rules that were written 50-some years ago that were hindering the delivery of legal services and to some degree hindering access, especially in this technological age. So she got together with Eugene Pettis and me to set up the Vision 2016 project, and I know we have talked about this a little bit, but I think it's critical to keep talking about it. The first year was led by Gene. The second year, I took over, and Ray will take this to the finish line. 4 discrete areas were tackled: law schools, bar admissions, technology, and access to justice. As I've jokingly said many times, we had no earthly idea what we were going to find when we ripped the lid off of this can or opened up the box. But what's coming out at first really scared me. It intimidated me. But then it started to excite me and invigorate me. Because much as technology has made our personal lives much easier in terms of keeping in touch with a friend of ours from college that now lives in California, technology can benefit the practice even with some of these outside products, if they are handled correctly. This is okay. Change is okay. And change is natural. Simply, the way that we have practiced for generations has changed. And it's changing at a pace that is more rapid than we could ever imagine. So we need to keep our eye on this, and I'd ask you to follow Ray throughout his year and track his accomplishments. Our clients have become customers, and these customers are more informed than ever. In the 90s, they didn't have the internet. We knew everything. We held the keys to the magical books. Today, they have as much information as they care to take the time to review when they jump on the internet. This has also created opportunities for non-lawyers, businesses, to compete in our branch of government by providing technological-driven products. We're struggling right now. I'm saying the leadership of the bar and the Board of Governors, and to some degree the court, are struggling with these technologically driven legal products because the rules that regulate the Florida bar, as I said, were written half a century ago. They were never designed or envisioned to deal with our digital age. So what do we do with things like Avvo, LegalZoom, Rocket Lawyers, and others? I'm sure Ray has the answer. Ray, do you have the answer? Okay, no. He will have the answer by the time he gives his speech in about, 10 minutes. The great news is you have a Supreme Court, the members that are sitting here today and the members who aren't, who for the first time ever have allowed the bar to sit down and talk to them about these issues. I cannot tell you how important that is, because the 7 justices of our Supreme Court are ultimately the ones that administer the justice in this state. They are the ones that are going to have to decide how these issues move forward. And I've said this before, in some states, the bar and the court, there's a complete disconnect, meaning the Chief Justice would never sit next to the President of the Florida Bar. And we are so very, very fortunate. I cannot stress this enough about how engaged our court is in listening to the conversation and at least beginning to learn about these things now rather than waiting to the end of Vision 2016. So once again, I would like to thank the court for your engagement in that process. So, I am happier than you can imagine to hand the baton to our next president, Ray Aberdeen. Ray is a wonderfully talented, very unique individual. And as that's his family laughing. And as I've said before, he's not afraid of anything. I have never met a human being that literally is not afraid of anything. And I've spent a lot of time with him. So if you're walking down the street with Ray and you pass an alley and you turn to Ray and say, Ray, do not go down that alley. There are monsters at the end of that alley. Ray will immediately turn right and walk down the alley. I want to go see the monsters. That's my friend. Ray, it's been an absolute pleasure traveling around the state and the country with you this year. I will miss our close friendship. I will miss our daily interaction. You now have Billy Schifino to pal around with, and Bill and I have known each other since our Young Lawyers Division days some 20 years ago. And when Bill's time comes to sit up here and give his speech after he serves his term as president, you will learn that he is also one of the most eminently qualified individuals to ever lead this bar. His unwavering commitment to our profession is unquestioned, and my friend, I'm looking forward to you as well. Now, I have to take just a brief moment to thank and recognize a few people, as you have to do, because you cannot do this job alone. First, once again, and for the third time, I feel like I have to appear before the Supreme Court. I'm thanking them so much. That would be a mistake. First of all, I'd like to thank the Chief Justice for putting up with me this year. I pestered him incessantly throughout his initial term as Chief. but we have been very good friends for 30 years. He was going out of the state attorney's office as I was going in, and so I think that friendship helped us move a lot of things forward in a way that has been positive for the profession. And of course, I've spent a lot of time with the rest of the court, and I respect and admire you, and thank you all so very, very much. To my beloved past presidents, in just a few minutes, I'll be sitting over there. Thank you for all of your support and guidance throughout the year. You know, it's funny, past presidents have a way of when they look at each other, there's a softness in their eyes when they look at you because they get it. They know what it was like to do it for a year. So thank you to all of you. I've leaned upon you at times throughout the year. You're a very special group of people, and we're fortunate to have you as a resource. To the Board of Governors, you're simply the most talented, energetic, smart, and driven group of people I have ever had the honor to be associated with. I will miss all of you more than words can ever express, and thank you for your service. I'd like to take a second and also recognize, where's Michael Orr? There's Michael. And I know Gordon Glover will be up here in a minute. Michael's president of the Young Lawyers Division. Gordon is going to be president of the Young Lawyers Division in just a few minutes. And you know, the way the Young Lawyers Division has changed over the years, I was president in '99. Don't listen to this Critton or Luthier, okay? But it was much more of a more social group back then than now. They are some of the hardest working lawyers in the state of Florida, and they have recently launched an initiative on health and wellness. And I think it is a critical time to embrace this, and I cannot thank them enough, because when you start looking at the statistics of lawyer suicide, of depression, of unhappiness, of alcoholism and drug dependency, they are tackling these topics, and we are grateful for that. So thank you. Although Mike's predecessor, President Melanie Griffin, used to bring us cupcakes and cookies, which I prefer, as you can tell, they bring us apples, bananas, and, you know, pineapples. So, thanks, guys. As I said, you can't do this job by yourself, and I need to thank my firm, and specifically my partners, Bob Critton, Mark Luthier, and Steve Walker, as well as Jesse, Chris, and Santo, who were here. They didn't see a lot of me, and they didn't give me too hard of a time, except for Critton. You know, I'd walk in after being gone for a week and a half, and I'd get, "Oh, nice to see you," you know. So it's been an absolute pleasure to practice law with you for the last 20 years. I have more respect for you as lawyers, as people, as parents, as fathers, as human beings than you'll ever imagine, and I love you all. Thank you. To my assistant Carol, who I see over there hiding, thank you for keeping me organized and on track. Keeping my schedule alone required some type of advanced degree, but you did so with a great deal of humor, and you didn't complain too much, so thank you, Carol. To my family, my mother is here, my sister Karen, my sister Krista, and of course my son Cody. Thank you for all of your support this year, and Cody, I'm sorry that Daddy was traveling so much. But I promise you that after this convention, we're going to go to the Bahamas and we're going to shoot some lobster and fish, okay? So last but not least is our wonderful Florida bar staff. This job is like a CEO of a $50 million, 300-employee organization. Our staff is so good at what they do, they make us look good. From Adria Quintella, that runs our grievance, to Francine in communications, Mike Garcia, Paul Hill, our general counsel, Marcy Jackson, our CFO, Roz and Vicky, who keep us all on track, Mary Ellen and Elizabeth. I can't name them all, but they're all just wonderful people, and I would like to give them a round of applause because they do the work. So those of you that were not at the judicial lunch yesterday, those that were, you're going to hear it again, so I apologize. And I'm almost over. Ready? So, you ready? No. Okay. The most important person to this job and every single one of those past presidents over there nod their head in agreement, is Jack Harkness. And you hear it every year, but you really can't appreciate and feel it unless you have done this job. Jack's quiet but confident assurances over the year have kept me on track, mostly kept me out of trouble. Jack's been the executive director of our bar for more than half the time the bar has been in existence. He has served as executive director for 35 years, dealing with 35 very different presidential personalities. Some of them difficult, some of them not. Ray, the 36th, we shall see. Go ahead. When you have to do something for me. Remember, I told you this earlier. What are you supposed to do? I asked you to do one thing.
I forgot. Tell me what it is.
Go get the sign.
Oh.
Jesus. One thing. So, you can't make this stuff up either, folks. So, right there's good, yes. Yes, that's good, Puppy. So when you go around the country, and I said this yesterday, Jack is like a rock star. He's like Bono of the executive directors. They all look at him with awe, as do I. He's a very good friend of mine and has been a good friend of mine for many, many years. And simply, we are the most fortunate group in the country to have Jack as our executive director. So, the Board of Governors this year did something to honor him in a way that we felt was appropriate. We unanimously voted at our May meeting to rename the Florida Bar Complex in Tallahassee as the John F. Harkness Jr. Florida Bar Complex. You can put it back.
Oh my God.
Huh? You can take it away.
You did good.
I asked Ray to do one thing. Can you imagine during the rest of my year what it was like? I mean, that was just one thing. Imagine 3 things.
Squirrel.
Here, give me a kiss. I love you.
I love you too, baby. Love you too.
I'm going to be doing that, you know.
And no kissing with the Cubans. It's an Irish thing, sorry. And Jack is so very humble that he's almost embarrassed by this, but he is so deserving. And we're going to have a ceremony that's going to be under Ray's reign, if you will. Haven't decided whether it'll be in September, in the fall when it's a little cooler, or in January when we have our board meeting up there. But we will have an official dedication up at the bar where we have a plaque that will be installed, and it will be all formalized. And we documented it in a way that it can never be undone. So thank you, Jack. So this brings me to the end of my road. It has been an absolute honor, a privilege, and a pleasure to serve you, the profession, and this independent branch of government, and of course this wonderful state that I dearly love. I thank you all for your indulgence this year. I thank you all for your support. I will miss this group. I will not miss this position. But I love you all and thank you.